What is up, everybody? Boom, we are back to Mount Mograph, and in today's video we're going to be doing Summit 25, a low poly dragon rig. So what this is going to be is we're going to be modeling a little character, I guess, like a little dragon. He actually looks kind of cool. I guess I'll show you how to switch the textures and I'll also show you how to make him dynamic, so he'll be able to like move around all by himself essentially. So we'll get into some of the character animations inside Cinema 4D, so just check this out. Alright, so I know the scene's a little simple. I really just want to show you guys the character part of this, and it shouldn't be too hard. I'll walk you through it step by step, and we'll create this entire scene. But it's kind of cool. I mean, his whole body will flex when he moves. So anyway, let's jump into Cinema 4D and get this started. So as always, I'm going to be using Studio R15. You guys can probably use just about any kind of cinema to get this going, but I'll show you a really cool little workflow for modeling a character. So let's start by just creating a square primitive, real easy, and all we're going to do is make it editable and just put your axis point over on the farthest side of the X. So I'm just going to use my axis center, or you can just do it with L and use your enable axis modification tool to do that. But yeah, so anyway, I'm going to move this just over to the side here. And I'm also going to move it down to the bottom. This is just the axis center is just a good way to do that. And then I'll just do a PSR update. And that's the only thing that you guys might not know how to do, but it's really easy. You can just right click anywhere, go to customize palettes and type in axis center, and it's going to be right here. And then you can just dock it somewhere. But yeah, so I think it's pretty helpful. So what I'm going to do is create a cube, and here I'll pull up my grid for a second. And so on my grid, it is basically only going to be up half the portion, because I'll be using a symmetry object to do some really quick and easy modeling, which is cool. So yeah, basically I'm just going to be working something like this, and yeah, so I'm going to hide the grid just because like when you're doing like modeling of characters, it's a lot easier to just like only see the character you're trying to make. So pretty much all we're going to be using is the polygon tool here, and we'll be able to create a dragon just from this shape. So what we're going to do is I'm going to actually even name this dragon. So this is going to be one piece, and we'll create the whole character. So with your dragon selected, hold Alt on your keyboard and go up into your array objects and just grab a symmetry object, and that's going to drop our dragon inside of the symmetry object. So I'm just going to resize it, and this is going to be his main body. So and we'll obviously round it out a little bit, but I think that's going to be a decent size for us to start. So just grab your dragon, and the cool part about a symmetry object, I'll just do a quick example, is if I was to if I was to just like drag out one of my sides, the other side's going to change too. So that is pretty helpful in terms of modeling, and that's what we're going to be doing. So basically, you can create any kind of character you want, but how I'm going to do it is just by using the extrude tool and extrude inner tool for this entire thing. And that's going to be, at least for me, that is pretty much the best way to model stuff. And I mean, there's like layouts for modeling, but I don't know, just for what we're doing today, I think it's going to be pretty easy just to do it like this. So let's select this polygon on the side over here, and let's create our first cuts for the wing. So press T on your keyboard to bring up your scale properties, and make sure you're holding command and just drag down on your Y axis right here. So it's going to go like this, and we'll get this cut, and then just resize it a little bit with your scale tool, and you're going to have something like that will look good. So what you're going to do is just press E on your keyboard to bring up your move tools, hold command, and drag out. And so as you can see, that is going to be our extrusion. Okay, so now let's just press T and scale this down a little bit. And actually, since it's going to be low poly, let's also delete our Fong tag. And so basically, this is going to be how we're going to go about creating our whole dragon, just by cutting out pieces like this until we wind up with something cool. So let's press E again to bring up our move tool, and actually also press R on your keyboard to bring up your rotation tools, and let's just start angling the wing a little bit. So then press E again, and we'll hold command and drag out and get another segment of the wing. And at this point, I might make it a little bit thinner just with my scale. So just scale that down a little bit, press E, and maybe bring up your rotation tools. This is pretty much, you can do this however you want. I'm just gonna kind of just try to walk you guys through how I would make it, and obviously yours could be way different, or really however you want. And then maybe move this back a little bit, Sometimes it's helpful to go into your different views and just see what the dragon's looking like. So I just hopped over into my top view, and I think that'll actually be kind of nice for right now. So I'll just scale this down and press E to bring up my move tool, move this back a little bit. And yeah, if you guys don't want to see the modeling portion of this and just want to skip ahead to where we actually make our dragon be able to move around, feel free to do that, obviously. I think there are still some cool stuff you can see in this video, but if you've never modeled like a little character or something, I think this could be kind of helpful. Whoa, just maybe rotate this. So sometimes what happens is, it's actually happening right here, is when I rotate my my polygons here and move them out. Actually, that worked out fine. Let me try this though. So sometimes what you're gonna have to do is select your point tools and just do Command A to select all of them. Right click somewhere and click Optimize, and that just will like merge your points if they're overlapping into one point. So I don't know if that'll help us at all, but yeah, it actually did. Now I'm not getting so many. There's like 2 polygons on my one, if any of you guys saw that. So that just fixes it. So now I'm able to rotate it much more easily. So I'm just going to start making like a little bit more of a body shape here. So I might even scale this up a little bit and tilt it. Oh, that actually looks bad, but yeah, and I'll try to go relatively quick through this and just get to the cooler stuff as well. So yeah, basically this is how we're going to go about making this. Man, I've never actually modeled something for one of these videos, so it might be not the best. I don't really know what I'm going to talk about yet. So if I start saying some stupid stuff, feel free to pause the video or like put it on mute and just listen to something more interesting, like some iTunes stuff or whatever, but I'll try. So now that we have this basic wing shape, and without the symmetry object, I would have to have modeled both sides, so I recommend the symmetry object. But what we're going to actually do is, what are we going to do here? Let's grab this top polygon and press T to bring up your scale tools, hold Command, and we're just going to drag in. Do you get it? Like dragon. But anyway, so I'm going to scale this up maybe, and just like we're gonna kind of fake some scales or whatever. So just what you're gonna do is just add a whole bunch of cuts. So just press T to make sure you're in scale, hold Command, and just drag in a little bit, just all over the place on your little dragon. And this won't matter that much because then we'll just rotate this slightly. So maybe just grab one and just rotate it like 0.1, 0.4, whatever. And then when I do a quick preview, we're going to start to have, you'll start to see all the different shadows in it and whatnot. So that always looks good. Let's actually start to create his back. So I'm going to go into my edge tool here and just select this top edge here and just drag this up. You got to be careful since you are working with a symmetry object. It's going to cut right down the middle of your object. So you're going to want to make sure to keep your stuff relatively together still. So see, I might even, you can also use your position down here. So if I want it to be like dead in the middle, I can just go X and then press 0 and do apply, and that'll just make sure it's like right in the middle of everything. So that's kind of nice. But anyway, here, I'll do that again. Yeah, so I'm gonna start now. Let's go and create his legs real quick. And so how I did this was I just went into the bottom of him, grabbed my little guy here, and just hold Command and scale in. As you can see, this is pretty easy to do. It's really not a difficult process. And just press E to drag this down there, and we'll have to start with legs, and maybe just make them a little smaller. We will rotate this, hold Command, drag out, maybe scale it down a little bit, and also rotate it because we're going to want his feet to be facing forward, I would think. Just go like this. Okay, maybe rotate it a little bit more and press E to bring up Remove tool and drag out with Command. So we're starting to get a kind of foot-like shape. We can obviously spend more time on this if you wanted to really fine tune everything, but maybe scale this down, lift it up a little bit, Scale it in. Let's create some toes real quick. So press T to bring up your, actually what we'll do, I'll show you the knife tool if you guys haven't used that. So just press K on your keyboard and that brings up your knife tool, and make sure it's actually on restrict to selection. So since we have this polygon selected, we can just add some cuts just like this. So just drag, you know, a couple times. Don't even worry about how perfect it is. And then now we have all these cut polygons. So I'll just press 1, hold Command and drag in, and then just drag out and do this again. And there, I got a toe. So that was pretty easy. And we'll just repeat the process for these other ones here. And just hopefully get something kind of cool. You can spend more time on it, obviously, but yeah, just want to show you the quickest way to make little characters. And this is actually what we'll get to later in this video. Is I'll show you how powerful the Cinema 4D like just joint tools are, and how awesome and easy it is to create a very like lifelike looking animation. You know, like I think for the video I showed you at the beginning, this one, I think I only did 2 keyframes actually, so that was pretty easy. All right, so we have some weird looking feet. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. Press V to bring up your selection tool and go into a ring selection. Let's just grab a ring of polygons here around his leg, and he needs thinner ankles. They're a little bit big ankles here. So I'll just scale that down like that. Let's see. So that looks fine. I'm not going to worry too much about it for right now. Let's also go and just select this top wing here, and we'll start maybe just adding some random cuts in it. So just you see how easy this is. This is like, it's kind of fun, but yeah, we'll just select a whole bunch of these different shapes. You can do random shapes and just hold Command and drag in, and we'll do the extrude inner command here. And so we'll start to do some stuff like this. And now with all those cuts, I'm just going to select random ones and rotate them just a little bit. And this will change all the other ones. So I'll just do a quick preview. And as you can see, we're starting to get this really cool looking like wing deformation. So that's an easy way that I've started to use this low poly style for just like modeling. Is, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect. And it's kind of nice that you're working with not like a lot of polygon segments, because when you change one, you change a lot more than you would if there's thousands of polygons, if that makes sense. Like literally, if I tilt one, it's going to affect like the 3 surrounding ones, which affect all the other ones. So it's just an easier way to, I don't know, add some textures to everything. So I'm starting to kind of like my dragon. And obviously you can go and spend more time if you have your own design. I'm just doing this quick. But maybe I could like scale this out and just make this smaller here, and maybe drag it back, and you know, you can get like some, I don't know what you call these things, like little wing flaps or something. I don't know if I like that, but I'll just put them in here for just why not kind of things. So I don't know, I must have grabbed a bad polygon there. Got to be careful with all these. Maybe I'll drag this one out instead. But yeah, I mean, this is once again low poly's fun, so stick with it and you can always make something cool. So whatever, this is like a basic looking wing, but that's fine. Let's go and create his tail real quick. So just grab your dragon, select this back polygon, and all we're going to do is hold Command and drag out, and then just scale this down. So as you can see, we're starting to get that weird split right here, which I actually really hate. So we're going to fix that real quick. How are we going to do that here? So, okay, so what we're going to do is select our edge tool and just select this edge over here. And just on your x-axis, just press 0 and press apply. And so there we go. It's right in the middle again. And so now it's not so weird looking. That's an easy way to fix this, especially when you're working with the symmetry object. So actually, maybe for this back tail, if I want to just move it like move this side in a little bit, I'll just go into my edge selection and just maybe move this up a little bit and get a little bit more of a tail shape going. So I like that. That looks fine. And just grab this end piece here and drag this out. Ah, crap. Actually, let's go back a couple steps. I'll fix it later. Just the edges, like we should move edges actually last. Now that we have everything facing the right way, let's just make our entire tail and then go and fix this later. So I'm just going to go like this and drag out a whole tail. Whoa. Okay, so that looks pretty fine. That's pretty long tail, but whatever. Let's press V to bring up our selection and go to live selection. Oh, sorry, grab your polygons here. Press V, go to select, and go to ring selection. So let's just grab this ring here and maybe scale this down a little bit. Man, that is so annoying that it jumps inside like that. Oh well, but I forgot how I did it before. But yeah, so we'll just roll with it. Just grab the different segments of your tail here and scale them down. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but right now I think this will work fine for us. So I'm just grabbing all these different sections and scaling them down and whatever. So that's fine. So now what I'm going to do is just grab my edge tool here and select my dragon, and I will just select these top edges here of my my tail, and just put my X point to 0 and say apply. And well, it fixed some of them, I think. Man, what the hell? So let me drag this one in. So this should be on 0 and it should fix itself. Oh man, well this is very annoying. So maybe we'll just do a little guess. I'm gonna go into my top view here and bring up my rectangle selection and click off only select visible elements, and maybe just drag my back tail here. I'll just rotate it a little bit, and it's gonna split, but maybe then move it in. They can overlap a little bit, it's fine. I'm not gonna worry about it. And so this is kind of a cheat way to fix a tail, but since we're in the low poly style, now I have some nice lines on there. Like I meant to add those totally. So that's fine. As you can see, we're starting to get a little bit of a dragon shape, which looks cool. Let's go create his head, and hopefully we don't have the same problem as this before where we kind of like faked having the tail perfect. So let's just create this neck here. We'll just drag out like that. And what are we gonna do now is maybe just make it a little bit smaller and just press command. Whoa. And so press E to bring up your move tool, hold command and drag out. As you can see, this is totally a repetitive process, and it really turns into what you want your dragon to look like. I don't think there's like a 100% right way to do everything in Cinema, but yeah, I mean, that's half the fun, is like all the different pieces of Cinema kind of can like change to fit your need. Like you can use a lot of the different tools for different stuff, and I think that's a lot of the fun of like doing motion graphics, is you can figure out your own way to do stuff and like how you like to work. So yeah, I'm not saying like my way or the highway, guys, but yeah. So anyway, so we're kind of starting to get this. I'll probably bring out this next segment like 2 more times and then just make a quick head here. And so it's starting to do that weird split, but that's fine. I want to get the cooler stuff of this video anyway. So this is great. Just drag this out. Maybe scale this down, move this in. Yeah, now we're getting like this yeah, I totally meant to do this too. I mean, this kind of actually looks cool like this, so that's nice. I'm glad that's working out. And then we'll just go and add some spikes on his back real quick too, and then we'll be pretty much all set. So let's just create his little snout, drag this out, maybe tilt it down. I don't know, I didn't like I would normally recommend, if you're trying to make a character, to like actually have some drawings of what you want your character to look like, instead of going in like I did with a totally blind model. I just was like, I don't know. I'm just gonna roll with it. I think it'll turn out fine, and it's not. So that's exciting. So let's grab and let's make some eyes. So I'll just scale this down and then just reposition this here, and maybe hold command and drag in to create a little cut. Do this and hold command and drag out. So now I have this really crappy eye, but that's fine. We're doing low poly style. So let's just do the same thing and maybe grab his neck in a couple random segments here, and just wherever, and maybe just tilt a couple. So just bring up your rotation tool. And I think low poly is still like, you know, there's just a lot, like there's a couple people online experimenting with it, and they're kind of like the forerunners of it. So I don't think there's like a designated way to do low poly yet. So I don't know if this is like the best way to do it or anything like that, but this is just how I've been doing it lately, and it seems to be going pretty well. So if you like what you're seeing, I guess drop me a comment or leave me a like. It's totally cool. Makes me want to keep making videos when I hear like it's helping somebody, I guess. So that'd be cool if you want to, or if you just don't like this, obviously dislike this video, and that's cool too. So what we're gonna do now is go into our top view. So press F2 on your keyboard, and we'll see our sweet looking dragon here. And what I think I'm gonna do is use my rectangle selection tool and click on only select visible elements. And so let's just see if this works. I'm just gonna drag my rectangle up his back here. So just like this, and I'll see if that got enough, and it didn't. So let me drag this again. Just over like his whole back. All right, so that is still not quite as much as I want. You just got to get the perfect amount, and I think I got it. So with this all selected, that looks much better. And what I'm just going to do is, with that selected, press K to bring up my knife tool, and I'm just going to add a whole bunch of random cuts all over this. I'm not going to worry too much about where they are or what they're doing. And I'm just going to use these as a way to extrude some points on him. So there we go. That looks cool. I mean, I guess you could even do like a whole bunch of scales like this. But yeah, so let's go and grab our live selection tool, go back into our dragon points here. And what we're going to do is I'm actually going to turn off my symmetry object just for a second so I can see a little better. I'm just going to grab these little points and hold command and scale in, hold command and drag up, and just go like this. And so I'll just repeat this process for all over him. And I mean, I'll just do these quick, but spend more time if you have a set character in mind or something like that, and it could probably turn out cool. So yeah, these can be random. Just want to make him look like he's kind of rocky or something, so just going to do random cuts all over the place for him. And then it's probably going to look pretty cool when we actually... Oh, I think I just put that one out on the side. I did. Yeah, it'll probably look pretty cool once we actually have all this done. So we'll just do a couple more points. That one's way too tall, but don't worry about it. Yeah, it's starting to look kind of cool. Maybe do a couple here. Some ones on his neck. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about actually when you're doing like modeling, because I mean, it's pretty much what you see is what you get, you know. It's not like, and this is why we're doing this, because I just repeated the same stuff for 50 times. So sorry, it was a little boring, but the next couple things we'll be doing now that we have our model, I promise will be more interesting, and I'll actually have things to say. So there we go. I got some random points all over his back. It looks cool. And I'll just make the symmetry object there. And there we go. We got a spiky dragon in no time at all. He's even got some eyes here. And so let's just add a quick texture to him, and then we'll get into the rest of it. So just double click your materials, go into your color here, and let's add a gradient. So I'm going to click gradient and click my gradient selection. I'm going to keep it at 2DU. And what I'm going to do is just do a red here. And over here, I'm going to also select a red, just a different shade of red. So we get this color here. Just grab your red gradient into your reflection channel here and drop it onto your texture. Turn your reflection channel on, and maybe turn your brightness down a little bit. Go into your gradient, and just on this first one, let's make it a yellowish color, actually, like a burnt orange, so we get this nice glow. And now let's go into our bump channel. So just click your bump here, and let's go into texture and click noise. So we're going to get some bumps here. All we're going to do is just turn this down. Whoa, that's too much. So just turn it maybe to 3% here, and we'll see how this is looking. So I'm going to drop my material just on my whole dragon, and it doesn't look great. We'll tweak some settings here. Go back into your reflection, maybe turn this down a little bit more. He is very glowy. You just want a little bit of a highlight, not so crazy. And my bump is probably fine. Let's see if that's looking better. Man, I'm actually not liking this gradient. So I'm going to go into my gradient here and actually select a Fresnel and just reselect some colors. I didn't really think about that. And maybe we'll use a black or like a darker red this time around. So that looks better. And yeah, that looks way better for our dragon. That just looked kind of stupid before. And then we'll add some lights to the scene too, and that'll look a lot better. I'm actually going to go into my bump here, and let's actually switch our bump texture too. So go into texture, let's go to surfaces, and let's select earth, and maybe then turn our texture up. And so we'll get a little bit more random bumps on here instead of just like equal everywhere. So I like that. I mean, it's kind of funny that it's the world, but now he has like different parts have different amounts of bump, which is an easy way to do that. So let's do one more thing and go into our top view, and we're just going to create a yellow color for him for down his middle of his back. So go into your polygon mode and click your rectangle selection tool and only select visible elements, and I'm just going to drag up his back. You could be way more accurate if you want, but I'm just going to roll with it and say that's all the stuff I want yellow, and maybe hold shift and just unselect this top bit if I can. Or I'm not going to worry about it. He'll just have a yellow racing stripe down the middle. So let's go into our select menu up here and go and click set selection. And I'm just going to call this orange back or something. And I'm going to duplicate my matte layer here. And let's just go into our color and our Fresnel and just make two kind of darky orange colors here. So I'll do burnt orange and a brighter orange, and there we go. And then I'll drag this texture onto my dragon, and then under its selection tag on this material, so if you click your material under your selection, just drag your set selection thing onto it, and there we go. We have a textured dragon. Obviously you could spend more time highlighting all this stuff and get it to work better, but I think that looks fine, you know, and I'm not spending too much time on this just because this was just like basic modeling or whatever. But I think it should still be kind of fun. So now what we're going to do is rig our dragon together. So with your symmetry object selected, press C to make it editable, right click and go down to select children, right click and go down to connect objects and delete. So now we have a complete dragon. So I'm going to type that in caps because it is a dragon and that's pretty scary. And now that we have our dragon, let's go into our top view by pressing F2 on our keyboard. So here is, I'm going to show you some really cool steps to get a really nice movement with like a character, and it's pretty straightforward. So let's go into our character menu and go down and select the joint tool. So with our joint tool selected, let's press P and click enable snap. So what this is going to do is snap to our different joints here. So make sure you're holding command on your keyboard, and what that's going to do is when we create a joint, the next joint we create will be a child of that joint. So what I'm going to do is just click and drag these points basically wherever I see like a main part of his body. So do it, go as crazy as you want if you want to add a ton of joints, and basically just make sure you're holding command this whole time, and you could zoom in and like really make sure you're selecting the right vertex. But whoa, I just did something crazy, but I'm not going to worry about it. I think it should be fine, and so I'm just going to make sure that it is snapping to these right areas, which it is kind of. There you go. Yeah, and obviously I put a lot of just stupid cuts in there with my knife tool that I didn't even need, but this will still work fine. So there we go, we got some joints, but you would think this is perfect, but the joints are actually not going to be, not going to be in the middle of our character. Like we could have made the neck come up differently, or maybe the tail drops down or something. I just did a very basic model, but the joints, even though we drew them, are not going to be in line with the character's body. So I actually, like, if you want a more dynamic looking character, I'd recommend like making the neck come up and like actually building him from the side, which I don't think we even went into once because I wasn't even thinking about that. But yeah, you should definitely add some more like real, like, no, and I don't think there's any dragon or any animal in the world that's just like this perfectly straight little guy here. So just make sure you're careful with that. So let's go into one of our side views. So F3 for me, but it might be F4 for you. And this is just going to help us align these joints and make sure you still have the enable snap on. And with our joint selected, let's just grab our move tool and just zoom in a little bit. And we're just going to make sure it snaps onto our dragon somewhere. So then just click the second one and we'll just move this up until it snaps. And this is basically like how you would create a spine or these are joints of a character. And in our case, this is going to be like our dragon's spine. And this is what is going to help us have this nice random movement to his whole character, because we will be adding some inverse kinematics to it, which is really nice and much easier than in other applications. So I'll just keep dragging these joints around my character and hope they snap on something. If they don't, you can move them forward just until they snap. The snap tool is very helpful, obviously. So just make sure they're clicking on something, and it's pretty noticeable when you're dragging and it snaps to something. It's just like stops immediately, so it's a good little cue. And I'll just drag this last one there. All right, so there we go. We now have a dragon spine on our dragon, and it's pretty much in place, so that should be good. So select your top joint here, right click, and go into character tags, and go and select the IK tag. So this is basically going to create a chain of movements. So since they're all children of each other, we want them to actually be affected. Like if I move one, I want the other ones to change as well. So what you're going to do is with your IK tag selected, go look at your end box here, and we're going to drag our end joint. So for me, it's joint 13, and I'm going to drop this into my end goal. So right there, you won't see any changes, but it's all linked up, and it should be pretty good. So now what we're going to do is select all of our joints. So hold shift and select all your joints, and then also holding command, click your dragon. So we'll have everything selected minus this root null. Let's go into our character window here and go down to commands and select this option bind. So just click that, and we'll get a couple little tags on our dragon as well as this skin. So what has that done? Well, let me see if this worked, I should be able to move my root and my dragon will move. So as you can see, he's moving, and that was pretty easy. And basically, now that he has a skin on him and this weight tag of all his joints, you could do some vertex painting if you want stuff to be affected differently, but for us, this will work great. So now that our joints are attached to our character, let's go and add some dynamics. So click your IK tag here, and there's this extra tab called dynamics. So let's turn on dynamics, and nothing's happening, but if I press play, look, it's like Mr. Droopy. He's all floppy, and that's not a good look, dude. So we're gonna fix this. Basically, you can mess around with all these settings. Drag is the speed that, like if I was to now move this top, drag is like how much our dragon is affected, or how much the delay is between his movement. So I'm going to turn this up to, let's say like 40. Rotation hold is like I'll just turn this up. So now he's not moving, and the less the rotation is on, the more he'll drop. So I'm going to turn this down to like 30, and the strength I'll turn up to like 70. So you can definitely mess around with these settings more. It's pretty obvious of what ones do what. In position hold, you probably want to 100 unless you want him to drip. Like if I turn this all the way down, it just gets totally deformed. So you're going to want that to 100. And I recommend when you're changing these settings to actually have this timeline just playing if your computer can deal with that. And so now if I do, he's obviously moving around a little bit, and you can just see how he's working. So one of the things that I thought was a little funny was, basically, even though this is kind of looking good, like I've never seen a creature fly around like this, like with its end body. It's like so droopy. So I was looking through these tabs here, and I found this one called forces. And so in these forces, there's gravity, and then I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. So basically, the gravity is telling him that his body should drop. So in theory, if we set the gravity to like -1, now it's going to not affect him as much, and you get this flowing look to him. So I think that looks pretty cool. So now that we have that set up, we're pretty much there, guys. And I don't think that was, this is a pretty relatively short video. We had a lot more to cover today, but basically, so now we have this really cool looking like ripply dragon guy, but we want it to actually move by itself. So what we're gonna do is select our root, right click and go to Cinema 4D tags and select a vibrate tag here. And just turn on enable position, and let's turn our frequency down to maybe like one second, and let's see what's happening. So now it's going to go back and forth, left and right 100 centimeters. So if we turn this up, we'll start to get some more movement. And let's also maybe turn on some height amplitude. So there we go. We now have a character that is I obviously haven't even done any keyframes to this, and I have this dude he looks pretty cool. He flies around by himself. It looks pretty nice. But let's actually put our vibrate tag, just click it, and let's just drag it onto our joint 1, because we want that to like still be affected this whole time, but we also want him to be able to move. So let's just maybe make our timeline a little bit longer. So set it to 10. And I'll turn this timeline up, select my root here and set a keyframe and go forward a bit and just move my dragon and maybe lift him up. And let's go back and play this and see what's happening. So now I have my dragon. He could probably vibrate more, but he's going to fly around. He's going to follow the paths. And obviously the more little bumps you have in the path. So if I was to all of a sudden drop him real quick and off to the side, his whole body's going to change, as you can see, to what the IK dynamics specify. So now he's flying, he's all of a sudden, oh, I forgot to set a keyframe there, but let me go back and do that. So yeah, he looks kind of funny when you drag stuff backwards, so you can probably have some fun playing around with that. So I'll just set a keyframe here and see how this is going. So maybe I can turn up my frequency or my vibrate tag and maybe just make this like bigger changes, or turn up my frequency if he's not like flapping around enough. And so there we go. Now we're starting to get somewhere. Totally looks cool, and you can mess around with these settings way more. But I mean, like, look at this. I'll do a quick preview, and we totally have a dragon. So that is really cool. And so basically, man, I was gonna go over the lights for this, but I'm kind of like, my mouth is tired from talking. I haven't put up a video in a while, and I mean, it's pretty much the same settings I've used for other ones. I can just show you real quick, but let's just drag a light over here. And what I did to keep the light on my character was I just put him in the root with my joints, and now when my dragon moves, my light moves with him, because it's a child of it. So that was a good way just to keep my light facing him the whole time. And I guess I will be just doing the light real quick. So let's go into our light settings, set our type to area, our shadow to area, go into our color, let's select a light yellow, go into details, turn our outer radius up. We're going to rotate our light 90 degrees here, and go back into our light settings. Let's go into our samples and turn those up to 50. We will go into our fall off and set it to inverse square clamped and see how this is looking. So we'll probably turn up the intensity on this, but as you can see, we're starting to get a much better light. Z direction only, we'll set that on. Visibility, fall off, outer distance will turn up a little bit. Sample distance will turn up to 57, I guess. Our shadow, will turn our accuracy to 1, minimum samples to 3, maximum samples to 350. And these are just like my generic light settings I pretty much use for every project now that I've figured them out, and I think they always look pretty good. So I recommend messing around with those if you haven't. And let's just see, maybe I can bring my light down a little bit closer to my dragon, and let's see how he's looking. So he's looking kind of cool, and I could even I'll just duplicate my light and tilt it a little bit. Where did my light go? Put it up there. I'll change this color to a very, very white color, and maybe just turn my intensity up. Let's check him out. Yeah, so I mean, just add some lights, and if it's in the root, they'll just move around with him. So then if we create, like the background or floor or whatever, and we play this, I think the floor is actually, where is the floor here? yeah, the floor is too high, so I'll just lift this down. And yeah, so we totally, I mean, this is basically how you'd make him. And as you can see, he's looking pretty cool. If you want, yeah, I mean, you can just add textures to your background or your root, and then, like, I mean, turn up the colors of your lights, change different lights in there, really whatever you want. But I think he looks pretty cool. And that is how you make a low poly dragon that moves around all by itself. So that is pretty fun. So check him out. Totally cool. And yeah, so I wound up with a video that looked like this. I spent not so much time on it, as you can see, and I wound up with a very nice looking little animation. So I hope you guys learned a lot today. If you liked this video, please leave me a comment, like this video, subscribe to the channel, anything. I mean, I'm just doing this for fun, and it's good to hear from you guys, and I hope you learned something. I hope you had some fun doing it, and I will talk to you later. So get your learn on, and peace.